it's a big and pressing problem in today's world, and we need to address it. And I used to address it here on this campus with a semester-long course, which somehow died 7 years ago. And it probably still is quite current. And so now in 20 minutes I will try to kind of compact all this enormous knowledge that I possess about vampires and that I share with students within the semester. And since it's only 20 minutes, I'm going to address this from this point of view. I'm trying to kind of dispel the romantic notion, romantic myth of beautiful, gorgeous Brad Pitt kind of vampire, and tell you about vampires, how they are encountered in real life by real people in countries where they are indeed a problem. So to begin with, Transylvania, yes, indeed, Transylvania here does have vampire lore, it's true, but pretty much everything that we know about vampires comes to us from two Irish men. That is Ferdinand Le Fanu, a great romantic Irish writer of mid-19th century, who wrote a beautiful novella, vampire novella, Camilla, and of course Bram Stoker. So pretty much whatever notions you have about vampires, they are given to us by both of these mad Irishmen, especially by Bram Stoker. And to begin with, we need to look at the geography of vampire presence distribution. And it is not necessarily Romania, and it's not necessarily Hungary. The epicenter of vampire beliefs in Europe is actually in Greece. In Greece you find more vampire lore than anywhere else in Europe. Now, there is even the same in the island of Santorini. You don't bring vampires to Santorini as you don't bring coals to Newcastle. Particularly northern Greece, Macedonia. And also, of course, in this regard, the country of Northern Macedonia, and also in this regard, of course, Bulgaria. So, okay, so it's not necessarily Transylvania. That's first myth. The second very important myth is that real-life vampires that people encounter in these parts of the world, that they encounter, are not aristocratic, mysterious, gorgeous, romantic lovers. Not at all. They're not actually, most vampires don't come from the higher strata of society at all. They can, but basically they don't. Most vampires are encountered in rural setting. And who do we find in rural setting? We find in rural setting peasants. So your basic vampire would not look like again Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, but will be probably pudgy, disheveled, red-faced, drunken peasant that is walking from a tavern at night, falls into a ditch, breaks his neck, wakes up to become a vampire. That's pretty much basically what you would encounter in countries such as Bulgaria or Serbia. Poor Branko was drinking at the tavern, and somewhere in Serbia walked out and was ran over by a horse carriage, and there he goes. Then he becomes a vampire. Why he becomes a vampire is another story, and I might have nonsense about that you have to invite a vampire to the house in order he could come in. This is all invention of Bram Stoker. Nothing like that you find in folklore. In folkloric vampire, if he needs to come in, he will come in. He will not ask for permission. Why he come in and what leads to his vampirization, it's another story. In countries like Bulgaria, or Northern Macedonia, or Serbia, or Northern Greece, or European part of Turkey actually, they are very aware of vampirical presence. And I'm talking about rural dwellers. It is following them through their entire life, and it is behind their back 24/7. It's always there. They are always aware of possibility of encountering vampirical entity. Again, I'm saying vampirical entity because there's lots of what is called in vampire studies demonic contamination. Vampires often do things that are attributed to ghosts. Ghosts often behave like vampires. Vampires sometimes are contaminated by perception of witchcraft and mistaken for witches. And of course, there are bona fide universal vampirical entities that are encountered all over Europe that are known as incubi or succubi, or the demon of the night, old hag, or a nightmare. Mare, that mean horse, female horse of the night, or old hag. That is the creature that you find at night sitting on your chest and suffocating you. So that often is being used as an explanation for nightmares and night fears and feeling of suffocation or panic attacks that people suffer at night. And then there is more to this story, and lots of it is quite unappetizing and slightly obscene, so I'm not going to go there. Because these entities occasionally come with a purpose, and their purpose is to procreate. So I'll stop here. All right. So in countries like Bulgaria, when in rural setting, and you will not encounter it in any of the larger urban settings in Bulgaria or Macedonia. It's purely urban phenomenon, rural phenomenon. When you walk out from the bus in any Bulgarian village and you look at the fences or the telegraph poles, you will see that they're all plastered with these notices. And it says in Bulgarian, zapominание, a notice. It's an invitation to a wake. Then you look at it closely, and my goodness, the person died 12 years ago. Why are they having a wake for someone who died that long ago? Well, it's a part of this fundamental beliefs that have to do with death and dying and honor death. You have to honor people, depending on locale, from 4 to 12 years with annual wakes. And upon 12 years, you have to exhume the bones and rebury them in another place. And then this assures that the progression of soul from the earth to the higher spheres is happening flawlessly. And nothing arrests it, nothing stops it, the soul moves up. And this is the responsibility of the entire village. Sometimes everyone in the family is already dead, but you still have to honor. So the neighbors will take upon themselves that responsibility. Why? because it is connected to the universal and fundamental vampire philosophical beliefs, religious beliefs that underlie vampire beliefs. They are closely related to Jewish Hebrew idea, concept of a scapegoat. In the book of Leviticus, it says that the Hebrews sent the goat into the desert as an offering to the demon of the desert, Azazel, who is supposed to take the goat, supposed to accept your sacrifice. And usually that's what happens. The goat goes away and never comes back. Well, they make sure that it doesn't come back. They usually toss it off the cliff. So they make sure that the goat doesn't come back. But can you imagine the situation in which goat returns? That is not a good news. It means that the Azazel, the demon of the desert, did not accept their sacrifice, that something went wrong. Usually the thought would be that someone transgressed in the village. That's why the goat was not accepted, the sacrifice was not accepted. The same happens here in a Slavic village. The whole village, the whole community is responsible for assuring that the soul of the deceased moves to the higher spheres and is gone and never returns. However, it happens occasionally that the dear deceased, the same Uncle Bronco with a broken neck, suddenly shows up at your doorsteps, knocks on the door, you open the door, he stands there, and he asks for his shoes, or he asks for a bowl of porridge. Nothing terrible, actually. Nothing that horrible. He doesn't attack you. He doesn't bite your neck or anything. He just is there. But the very fact that he's there is already enough. It's already terrifying. It means that something went wrong. That either there was a lapse in ritual, in burial ritual, or old Uncle Branko actually is not a very good guy. I mean, was not a very good guy in life, and you didn't know something about him. He maybe transgressed, and therefore people become vampires because of transgression, bad behavior. There is also people who are born to become vampires, and then there are also people who become vampires because of magic, because of the spell. The problem is here is also that has to do with a lot with forensic anthropology, in misinterpretation of the processes that take place in the grave with the body as it goes through the stages of deterioration and decay. Because actually, nobody other than forensic anthropologists know how these bodies behave. So let's say Uncle Branko is suspected of showing up at his door and bothering in this way and scaring his family. So they go back to the graveyard, they open the grave, and there's Uncle Branko. Let's say Uncle Branko is absolutely untouched by putrefaction. He's totally lays there like alive. Well, that's a vampire. However, let's say Uncle Branko is all bloated and blood is oozing out of his nose and his ears, and he looks horrible. A vampire. Let's say he doesn't look like anything. That kind of a little bit putrefied, but not very badly. He's playing tricks. A vampire. So the moment you open the grave, there's only one thing you can do. You need to make sure that this Uncle Branko never comes back home again. And then you have to do certain ritualistic, undertake certain ritualistic actions in order to, arrest his future behavior. Usually that requires cutting off his head and putting it, placing it between his legs. Often they cut off their heart and burn it. Often they throw, they engage in this magical ritualistic actions called apotropaics. They throw sometimes rice or other seeds into the coffin because vampires are believed to be very anal, and they wake up, oh, there are seeds, I'm going to count them, and they forget to come out. I'm not making this up. This is all documented in folklore. Or you throw a fishing net over the body, and he wakes up or she wakes up, and they start untangling the knots that make up the fishing net. But the most effective way, of course, of dealing with vampire is killing a vampire. For conclusion, I have to tell you also that it's only in romantic novels or movies vampires are obsessed with drinking blood from the jugular. In Greece, vampires love to eat liver. They don't have to actually drink blood. Some of them never drink blood. But in most cases, what is enough for the dead, deceased person to show up. If he or she is schlepping along the street, and she was certainly dead and put in a coffin and buried, and now walking around, not a good news. And I'll stop here.